Hey everyone, I know I promised a Rootstech review before, but after spending time with 17,000 people at Rootstech, I got more than just some genealogical experience. I think I got a little cold too. So I spent the first week or so home from Rootstech with coughing and hacking, and I thought that would not make a good video. So I still have a little bit going on, but enough that I can make a video without being just disgusting. So I wanted to give you my Rootstech review. This is Rootstech 2018. This is my fourth Rootstech going to. They've been doing Rootstech for 8 years, so I've gone to half of them apparently. This year it was February 28th through March 3rd, the end of February 1st to March. I love that so much more. It used to be like the 1st of February, which was not convenient. This year the price was $169 if you were an early bird, and I was because I'm not waiting. And then it incrementally went up. I think it went up to like $219 finally. Then they have the Discovery Day Pass and a Getting Started Pass. Those are Discovery Day is free. Getting Started I think was like $69. I don't really know because I didn't do that. But your classes are much more limited with you do that. And I always like the full experience, so I get the big one. Classes this year went from Wednesday to Saturday, so they kind of added an extra day, which was awesome. Another thing that they did this year, kind of they have a theme each year. This one was about connecting, and so it was all about stories and connecting, and some of the main speakers really spoke on that. And a great thing they had with the app, with the Rootstech app, was to be able to connect to those around you and to see how you were related to them and how closely you were related to them, and to see that you had hundreds of cousins. I think it tapped out at like 300, I heard. But I always had a full amount of cousins, usually, third or fourth cousins, or a couple times removed or something like that. But still, that's a cool thing to have. They had the expo hall. Rootstech has the expo hall, keynote speakers, different events for opening and closing ceremony sort of things. They had 13 DNA classes this year, more than ever before. DNA is becoming a huge thing. And during their block times, which usually ran about from 11 to 4, I think, anywhere from 20 to 25 classes in those different blocks. So it's a full schedule and it's a full day of things. So I'm going to go with you and I'm going to kind of share what I loved about it, what I wish they would do next time, and just some of my thoughts on that. So my loves, we'll start with positive first. Love Rootstech. There's nothing that I don't love about Rootstech. I come from Texas, so my going to Rootstech, that's an event. I'm not in the Utah, Idaho area, so if I want to go to Rootstech, I have to plan to go to Rootstech and taking a flight in and that sort of stuff. I love that it's right there in Salt Lake and it's right downtown. We've not ever had, I go with a friend, we've not ever had to rent a car. I can just hop on from the train at the airport and get into downtown Salt Lake, and we try to pick a hotel that's really close to Rootstech, so that makes it nice and convenient. Everything you need is right there in town if you're staying next to Rootstech. There's good restaurants, there's shopping, the family history library is nearby, the church history library, there's church, obviously Temple Square is there, there's good eating, there's just everything that you need, and it's nice centrally located. I really love that that train is there. It makes things so much easier to get around if you need to. So I love that it's centrally located. I love the expo hall. The expo hall is one of my favorite things every year, and I don't know why really, because I kind of know what to expect. But the expo hall is this huge area, and they have vendors from mom and pop startups to the big ones like Ancestry.com, Family Search, Find My Past, My Heritage, all those. Everybody has a booth. And depending on where you go and where you visit, you can learn about the new companies, or you can hang with the big established ones. And a lot of those big established ones usually have like little mini sessions, 20-minute mini sessions that they do. So it can be a really great experience. They have giveaways. They usually have a little bit of swag, some candy, some pens, that sort of stuff. But it's really a great opportunity to network with different people, to meet different people, to see kind of what's coming up, to see what they're focusing on, and I really love that experience. I especially love kind of finding some of those new ones, or the ones who maybe they're not new to the genealogy world, but they're new to being at Rootstech, and I kind of like to see what they have coming up. And I do love the new startups and to see what they're doing, and to see what direction they're going in, and to give them a little shout out. And so the expo hall is really one of my favorite things. I love the energy at Rootstech. It's always exciting. It's fun to meet new people. People are usually, in general, people are really kind there. Sometimes you'll get somebody that you're just walk away, but for the most part, people are super kind and they're generous with their time and they want to share what they're doing or share what they're learning. And so that's a really great thing. Another thing that I really love are the classes. Classes are great. Every year, there's at least one or two or three or four that I just think this is the reason that I was supposed to come to Rootstech. Sometimes it's a learning experience, sometimes it's just a motivational experience, but the classes are good. For the money, you can't get that much learning opportunities anywhere else. And so it's really great. The classes range from everything from beginners, getting started beginners, to intermediate. There's an LDS focus track. You can pretty much find anything in there that you want. They have very specific, narrowed down things like Italian records or parish records or Jewish heritage records, to more broad, like what's going on with family search, new things at ancestry, those sorts of things. So it can be as much of a learning experience or as laid back as you want it to be. Another thing that I really love is the app. Rootstech has an app that they give you every year once you log in. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. It's great. This is what it looks like to sign in. And you can sign in and it has everything that you need on there. I use the app a lot. I think it's best this year than it's ever been before. They have the whole schedule up there. You can star and put the ones that you want to do. I love to go through that, especially because sometimes a class will fill up. You want to make sure you have a backup class. So I'll put like 2 or 3 classes that I want to take. I can see where they're at. There is a spot to write notes, but really it's too small and I don't like doing my notes on that tiny of a device. But you could if you wanted to. You can connect to people on there. There's just a whole host of things you can do. You can see the vendors that are there. You can see the map of the expo hall. So the app is a really great thing. So you want to make sure you get that app and use it. I find it really helpful. I have an iPhone. My friend has an Android, and I was able to compare them a little bit. They pretty much work the same way. There's a couple of different ways to get around things, but for the most part, I found them to be the same. I really like that it will send you, if you let it, to send you alerts about what's happening or what's going on, or sometimes I would get an alert like they're giving away something over at this area if you want to get there now, or this speaker's about to come up. I love that about the app. So those are the things I love about Rootstech. So we're going to talk about some of the things that I don't necessarily hate, but maybe some wishes that I have, some things that I think we could do better, or I wish that they had this, or I wish they did it this way. So one of the things when you get to Rootstech and you sign in and you get your registration, you get your bag, and you get a lanyard like this, and it has your tag. My tag's not here right now because Henry Louis Gates signed mine, and I put it in my keepsake thing so you can't see it. But it comes in something like this, and you pretty much wear it all week long. It has a barcode, has your name, it has where you're from, and I think they're color coordinated so people at the doors know which track that you've signed up for, if you're getting started or the Discovery Day or that sort of thing, so they know which classes you're able to go into. This year, this was the first year that I've had them scan your ID when you come into classes. And the reason I asked, why are we doing that this year? And the reason they said was that they wanted to be able to see the interest of different classes, to see how many people were taking which class, so that they can better determine classes for next year. That's great. I totally support that. But it made it really hard with some classes, especially big classes that were super popular, that you knew were going to be super popular. So much so that you put them in a really large room that had like 2 or 3 entrances. So people would line up at one and then they'd be scanning at another. It just became a little chaotic there. I don't know if, I know it's the first time, so I'll cut them some slack, but I'm not sure that I love that. My wish is that they use that to determine the popular classes, obviously, what they said they're going to do. And maybe if we can, to look at some of those classes, it would be nice if when you're scanning them and you see that it's going to be full, to send out a reminder, or not a reminder, but those alerts if you send out those alerts to people that say this class is full or this class looks like it's going to be full, because that expo hall, or not the expo hall, but the Salt House is convention center is huge. And there's classes at one end of the building, and then there's classes way on the other side, upstairs, around the corner, basically outer darkness. And so if you've walked all the way up there and that class has been full for a while, or filled up right away, you've walked all that way for nothing. And then you're trying to scooch it all the way back to find another class. So it'd be awesome if you're going to scan it, use that scanning ability to be able to send out alerts to say this class is full or this class only has 35 seats, so make sure you come early, those sorts of things. Because I try to avoid those classes that are way up and over there, because I have gone all the way up there and they've been full, and then it's hard to find another one because you've gone all that way up there. Unless it's really a specific one and I can kind of gauge that it's not going to be totally full. Do you mean if it's Jewish history or Italian records or that sort of stuff? I know the population for that is probably going to be a little bit smaller, so I'm pretty sure I can fit into those. But if it's a general one or of general interest, sheesh, I'm probably not going to take that class way up there, just because the chances of it being full and me having to find another one and get into the other one before that one gets full becomes slim. And so maybe if you're using the scanning device, that would be a great thing to be able to do. Here's my other wish. This is totally just me being persnickety, but it's my review, so I get to be persnickety. So every year at Rootstech, when you go, well, for the last 4 years at least, they you sign in, you get your registration bag, you get your lanyard with your name at it, you get a big bag full, if you do Discovery Day and Rootstech, you get a bag full of flyers. It has all the flyers of the different vendors, and just, it's great. I know some people don't like the bag of flyers. I love it because I like to be able to go through it the night before and kind of see which vendors I really want to check out, to see who's new, to see what's coming up. And I bring it home with me even, so I can go through it and make sure I remember to check this one out or that one out. But the one thing they do is they also give you a tote bag. So this is this year's tote bag. It's cute, right? It's a good color. It's nice and bright. This is not my favorite tote bag in the world, and I'm going to tell you why. So the year before, this was the one. The year before, pretty similar. In fact, I think it's probably exactly the same. But the first year, dude, look what you got. Now, I know on the surface you're going, but it's kind of the same, right? It's not kind of the same. This one opens up here, big space. This doesn't really open up. It's just another zipper pouch, right? Ugh. And then it has this little tiny side pocket over here. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this tiny side pocket. You can maybe fit like a pen in there, but I don't know. It's just not my favorite bag in the world. However, the first year's bag, now let's look at this. Okay, not the brightest beautiful color, but that's okay. I'm not going for it for the color. But first of all, love this. Put my earphones in, put my charger cable full. This opens up. Big space inside, just like the other one, so that's nothing different. But it has all where I can put my pens, where I can put my cards, when I get business cards in there, where I can put different things in there. Love this one so much more. Has a tag right here, so I can clip anything on. I always bring a big water bottle. I like to clip it on. Clip that onto there to do different things with that. And then the side pocket, one, it's a mesh. Two, it's bigger. You can even put a small little water bottle in there. You know, one of those little tiny ones in there. It's just more practical to me. Anyways, I love the first bag so much. The last couple of bags, not my favorite bags. So if Rootstech is listening, either up the bags or, I don't know, those last few are not great ones. I'll probably use them for library tote bags or something with my kids. Also, one of the other things, this isn't so persnickety, but this is actually a real one that I have. When you take a class, or when you look at the class, you can look at the hard copy of the class. You get a book with all the little classes in there. But really, the app is the best way to use it. And it gives a little synopsis of the class. It tells what skill level the class is. It tells you like the tech skills of that class. It goes over what's in there. So I love that about that, and I use that a lot. So I've been doing genealogy for years. I got my degree in family history. I do family history. That's my thing. And I know that there are different levels of people that do genealogy that are into family history. And that's great. So I always make sure that I check on those classes what the skill level is. Because if it's something that's basic and I already know about it, I'm not going to take that class. But if it's something in a general sense, but it's at a more intermediate level. So say it's a family search class, but it's a basic family search class, I don't need to take that. But if it's an advanced or intermediate family search class and they're talking about something maybe different or new or a secret way, or not a secret way, but a way to dig deeper into their records or into their wikis or that sort of stuff, then I'm going to take that because it's something new that I can learn. So I really look at that skill level, if it's intermediate or beginner, and then wage that with a description as to how I want to take that class, if I want to take that, if it's going to be useful for me. Here's my problem though, is this year I specifically looked at that when I was targeting classes. And I'm sure that the presenters probably write their own intros and their own little synopsises, but they need to be a little bit more specific, because if I take an intermediate class and you're spending the first 25 minutes going over the basics so that we're all on the same level, I'm walking out of that class. I don't want to spend, you wasted half of my class time talking about the basics when you're supposed to be at an intermediate level. So I really use that tool, and I really wish that it was a little bit more fine-tuned so that when I walk into a class that we're ready to go. There was a Rootstech, or not a Rootstech class, but a Roots Magic class that I was really interested in. I love Roots Magic. It's one of my favorite things. And it said intermediate level. So I'm like, great, we're not just going to go over what Roots Magic is and how to use it, but we're going to kind of dig into it, because there's so many nuances and so many things that are available with Roots Magic that I was excited to take the class. And the class was very popular. I got there right away, and the line went all the way down the hall and way out. It was a huge class. I know they had to turn people away. I was able to get into the class, super happy, sat down, was ready, excited. Literally, we spent the first 25 minutes talking about what Roots Magic is and what it does. I don't need that. Let's get to business. If it says intermediate, I expect to get to business. I don't expect to be a beginner's class for the first 25 minutes. I don't even know what the rest of it was because I got up and left. Somebody else was able to take my spot because it was popular, but dude, you need to have like Roots Magic 101, Roots Magic 200, different levels. I don't know how you describe them, but all of the classes need to be a little bit more defined as to who it's appropriate for. And I would think if you are beginning, that would be helpful too, because you don't want to walk into an intermediate class and have it be over your head. So if it's beginner, let's begin and let's go for beginners. If it's intermediate, advanced, those sorts of things, then let's just be ready to jump in. I know I would appreciate that a lot, because I gave up 4 days of my life. I've traveled, I've bought a plane ticket, I've bought hotels, I've done those sorts of things. I want to get the most for my money, and spending 25 minutes on beginner stuff is not what I want to do if that's an intermediate class that I've looked at. The other thing is classes that are sponsored by a vendor. There's nothing wrong with that. A Roots Magic class is obviously sponsored by Roots Magic. Great. That means I know what I'm getting into. I love it when they say that. However, sometimes they don't say that. So you walk into a class thinking it's going to be about sharing memories. And it is, but it's all about sharing memories using their particular product. And that feels a little dishonest to me. Maybe not, maybe dishonest is the wrong word, but it doesn't feel upfront to me. If I go into a class about sharing memories, I want to know different ways to share memories. Different ways, meaning not just your way. And especially if the class title says we're going to talk about different ways to do that, then it should be more than your way to do that. So I really want classes that are sponsored by a vendor or have a vendor that they have speaking to clearly say this is going to be a class sponsored by Forever or sponsored by Journal or whatever. Journal actually does that. A lot of them do say who sponsors the class, but sometimes they don't. And I think they I think they should have to, because if I want to know about that product, then I'm going to take that class. However, if I've already decided I don't like that product, or I don't want to use that product, or I want to learn different things, a multitude of different things within that subject, I'm probably not going to take that class because they're going to talk about just their product with that subject. So that's another thing that I would say on my wishes, that we added that to the skill level. Um, Other than that, Rootstech is awesome. If you are in the Utah, Idaho area, I would say go. There's really no reason why you shouldn't go. I mean, if you can figure out the time and that sort of stuff, and you're able to work out that schedule, then I would absolutely go. If you're traveling in from out of town, I would still say go, but I would say go with a plan. Make sure that you're determined and that you know what you're going to do and you're going to take. This is my 4th year. I probably will go again next year. I don't know why I wouldn't go again, but I do hope that they start changing up classes a little bit more. Some of those classes have been on there every year for 4 years. And I get that, but it's become so popular and so big that I really think that we need to have a large scale of different classes, keeping it fresh and putting some new things in there, and appealing to all different skill levels. So I really hope that classes start to not necessarily cater to those things, but that they're more specific about those things. And I do wish that there was a bigger range from just the beginning stuff to more intermediate things, especially for people who have been there year after year. Then you don't want to see the same classes. You need something a little bit new. I want to see different things. Some of the things I'd like to see, let's talk about some of the classes I'd love to see. So 13 DNA classes, that's great. But I would love to see things like a panel. I love panel discussions. Some of the best classes that I've gone to have been a panel discussion where you get a couple of different experts in different areas and they talk about things. A panel discussion is about different genealogical societies. Do you know what I mean? Why DAR versus this, or maybe you can do a whole bunch of that. Do you mean like what this one offers that this one doesn't offer, or what these focus on, and what you can get from these ones? That would be a great class. I would definitely go to that class. I love case study classes, and I love real case study classes. Sometimes you go to a case study class and they're doing a case study about how they knocked down their brick wall by finding some obscure record in like a New Jersey prison records or something like that. That's not totally applicable to most people. If I want a case study, I want to see how relatively common, or not common, but relatively a normal case study is going to go, like what they use, maybe something that we don't always use, but like land records or those sorts of things, how to access them and how to use them. Land records would be another great class, and I know they've done some of them, but I would say keep doing them, because those are the ones that people who, after they've done Rootstech for a time or two or have taken some classes, they're ready for the next level of things. The BLM doing a glow class would be great. Society classes. Um, I love learning different nuances of even some of those things that have been around for a while. Family Search has been around, but the wiki and the catalog section and the book section of Family Search is probably the most underutilized tool, but the best tool out there. And most people don't know how to use it, or don't use it at all. And I think we need more classes on that, because that would save people so much, and it's such a great tool that we just don't use. So I think maybe thinking a little bit outside the box, and opening the box up from within a little bit more would be great with classes. There's a lot of classes. I love the connecting classes and the telling stories classes, and I love the different perspectives that different people had on that. One of my favorite classes was a Wednesday class about connecting and stories, and it was the only class that I think I've ever seen a standing ovation being given for just a class speaker, and she was amazing. I think it was What's Your Story, or Who's Telling Your Story. It was an awesome class, and it wasn't advanced, it wasn't an intermediate class, but I knew going into it what to expect. I expected to speak about storytelling, which I think is really important, and she delivered, and it was perfect. And so there's always one of those classes like that. There's always a class out there that you go, wow, this was the reason why I came. Um, Not every class is going to be that way. There are classes that I leave going, ugh, I'd rather go hang out in the expo hall for a little bit, or there's classes that I go into and go, oh, I'm not ready for this yet. The one thing I really do love is that a lot of the classes have their handouts that are available on the app and you can download them. That is a great gift that those presenters give. It's a generous thing that they offer, and I think that to be able to take advantage of that is awesome. So, in general, Rootstech, great. Do it again, always. Love to do it. Hope to be able to do it again next year. I'm looking forward to it. It's the end of February, 1st of March again, I believe. I have the date somewhere, but I don't have them written down. So, if you have any questions about Rootstech or anything else like that, give me a shout out and I will come back and answer them or answer them in the comments below. Just to give you a heads up, my next couple of videos I'm going to work on, I am going to work on some videos about journaling. Like I said, the theme at Rootstech this year kind of had to do with connecting. And so I went around to some of the vendors that have journaling opportunities and different things like that. So coming up here, I'm going to review Journal, JRNL. I'm going to review Day One. I'm going to review Legasync, which is a new one, but I met them at Rootstech and they were lovely. It's a different take on journaling. They wouldn't call it journaling, but I call it journaling. Anyways, I'm going to review that one and show you my experience with them, my thoughts, my tips, my tricks, how I think they work best, which ones I like, maybe what I'd like to see or what I don't like so much. And I will make that review coming up. So if you want to join me for that, go and download those apps. All of them are free or have a free version that you can use. And I will link those down below so you can find those and maybe go along with me and share your thoughts with me on that one. And I look forward to seeing you. And we'll talk about those in the upcoming week. So get to journaling or get to recording those memories and we'll talk about that. And if there's anything else you'd like to see, let me know and we'll work on that. Thanks. See you then. Bye.